Welcome to the studio. Today I'm going to talk about one of the aspects of my figures that I get a lot of questions about. And that is not the costume, which is very nice in the case of this little tundra swan. Not the hands, we'll talk about that another day, but actually the lower limbs or the feet. And these guys have a nice, neat, one-piece lower leg, foot, shoe, boot combo that I do. And it's a very nice, neat, finished way of doing the legs. Not a lot of hassle. You don't have to worry about making shoes. And so today I'm going to do a short little video how-to in case you're interested in trying it yourself. Let's start by taking a look at this foot, which has two different kinds of fabric, so it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. This lower leg is made out of cardboard, and the bottom of the foot is a herringbone wool. And I like to use wool for the soles of my feet, and you'll see why in a couple of minutes. So the first step is to cut out what's going to be the sole of your shoes, the bottom of your feet, from cardboard. And I just use plain old cereal box cardboard. It's nothing fancy here. And then what you want to do is you want to glue two of those together to give it a little more stiffness. And I'm using tacky glue for all of the gluing here. And then after that's done, you'll have this two-piece thing, and it doesn't have to be glued perfectly. It's not a big deal. Then I like to add just a little scrap of cotton over the top because it gives the wool something to hold on to. It's not as slippery, and you just need a dot of glue on either end to keep that in place. And then you'll have something that looks like this, and there's our scrap of fabric, and you can see it's not held on terribly well, but it doesn't have to be. So then this is going to be the sole of the shoe, and I've used a lightweight felted wool, and in my work I use recycled clothing. And so this would be some wool from men's suiting, men's pants, 100% wool that I throw into a hot washing machine, cold wash, tumble it in the dryer, and so it shrinks down to a really nice weight. It's a dense weave. It's a little bit cushy, which is really nice to sew with. And it's probably, I guess, the weight, I'd say about a heavy flannel. And so that's pretty good. You don't want to use like a felted sweater for this because that would be way too thick, and that would give you kind of a weird snowshoe kind of effect. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the cotton side down onto this fabric, and then we're going to use some tacky glue and just do a little line of glue along the top. You don't want to get the side over here because you're going to be sewing through this part a little bit later on, and if you put glue there it's going to be really difficult to sew with. So then you're just going to hold this in place with one of my favorite tools, little mini clothespins, and you can get these from any of the big box stores. They're like bridal shower favors or baby shower favors, and they're just a fantastic little tool. They're little miniature clothespins, and they actually work, and they're really strong. So go out and buy some if you're doing work like this. They're just a fantastic helper. So you're going to continue putting glue all the way around, and then you'll just have this in place. And if you use tacky glue, it'll glue pretty quick, and it'll look like this when you're done, and it's, you know, a little bit crazy. And then you remove all your little clothespins, so on and so forth. And if you want to, if it's really bulky near the toe and the heel, you can cut off any of that extra fabric. But it's glued up at the top here, but the bottom, it's not attached to the cardboard at all. And you can see it actually moves around a little bit. And what's nice about that is it's going to give you something to bite into when you're sewing it to the bottom of the foot. So the next step, here I have a foot that is not finished. You can see the whole foot. It's been stuffed through the toe, and so the toe is open. And one of the keys to getting a good realistic looking foot is to not stuff the whole thing. So the stuffing actually ends here. So if you look at your own foot, it's flat. It's not this big swollen tube, which is a mistake that a lot of people make. And so then they wonder why their feet look funny. And it's because probably you're stuffing them too much. And so there's actually no stuffing in the toe. And so then, because this is not glued, I can just go ahead and pin in, and I'm using some pretty sturdy glass-headed pins. And you want to make sure that you pin this way, not out the ends, because as you're working on this you're going to get jabbed and you won't enjoy that at all. So you continue pinning, and usually all I do is pin at the heel, and then I'll fold the toe fabric under. And again, there's no stuffing in here. This is just, you know, pretty empty. The folded under fabric at the toe will give you a little bit of dimension there, but then you're ready to go. And all you have to do is sew your foot on. And I'm going to actually do a couple stitches with bright red thread so that you can see the benefit of using the wool. So in this case, both the foot and the sole are made out of wool. And you're just going to go along and take a little bite here and there. And where's I make a mess here. And you just go along, and it doesn't have to be perfect. If you're using matching thread, I guarantee this will not show. But I've got the red, and it still doesn't show. So take one more stitch, and there you see, once it's pulled taut, even though I've got red thread, a yellow sole, and black feet, that's not going to show. So you continue sewing all the way around, and then you'll be done, and you will have a beautiful little foot, just like the ones on my figures.